I'm Austri Reifer, and you're listening to Good Vibes Sunday, a podcast brought to you by I Am Warhol, the blog. Every other Sunday, I'll be sitting down with provocative thinkers, industry disruptors, and culture changers. My intention for every guest is to talk about breaking barriers, shifting old paradigms, and really just opening up in vulnerable conversations. In between guests, I'll be having Candid Sundays, which are where I just come in and I have a candid day where I just talk about life and I do life with you guys. Good Vibes Sunday is a place to fuel up on good vibes every Sunday. I don't pretend to have the answers to all of life's questions, and I only hope that my personal experiences and those that I share of others will help you in some way to be able to relate those into your life and hopefully bring you that much closer to the answers that you do seek. So please join me on this journey of getting your dose of good vibes and filling our homes and our hearts with good vibes. Happy Sunday, everyone. Our Good Vibes Sunday guest this week is Jason Motte. He's recently retired as a baseball player and founder of the Jason Motte Foundation. He started his career as a catcher, then later switched to being a pitcher. He's played in Major League Baseball for teams such as the St. Louis Cardinals, the Chicago Cubs, Colorado Rockies, and the Atlanta Braves. He says that although baseball was what he did and that he loved the game, it wasn't who he was. His true purpose is to be of service through his and his wife Caitlin's foundation. They've teamed up with 108 Stitches, a sports apparel company, to come up with a brand that stands for striking out cancer. There is one ambassador for each team in Major League Baseball who helps spread the word about the Jason Motte Foundation. The seed for the Jason Motte Foundation was planted in the fall of 2010 with Jason and Caitlin Motte asked the question, what else can we do to help? At that time, Caitlin's grandfather, Lynn Doyle, was a cancer patient at the West Clinic in Memphis, Tennessee. Jason and Caitlin saw a sign mentioning a need for blankets and wondered what more can they do to help. That question led to the formation of the Strikeout Cancer with Jason Motte Foundation and several other projects, including the annual Strikeout Cancer with Jason Motte. While Caitlin's grandfather was the driving force behind starting the Jason Motte Foundation, the real direction began after Motte and his wife met a young boy named Brant. Brant was a little boy who was diagnosed with cancer. Jason was approached on Twitter by Brant's family asking if he would take a photo holding up a sign saying Team Brant. During his Make-A-Wish Foundation trip to Disneyland, Jason, his wife, and their little one decided to head on over and meet Brant and his family. From that day forward, little Brant had stolen the hearts of the Motte family and really had an influence on the direction that their foundation has taken today. The Motte family uses the money raised towards research, all while providing comfort and care where there is a need for those affected, either directly or indirectly by cancers of all kinds. So as always, it's Good Vibes Sunday. So we talked to Motte about his foundation, but as always, we go a little deeper and we dig into this idea that we can learn how to live purposeful lives through the lens of cancer. Jason explains that although money, status, and fame are all blessings and they're signposts along the way, that they aren't the true answer behind fulfilling our purpose and our lives here on this earth. That when cancer strikes, none of those things matter. All right, you guys, I don't think we can have a better guest on to help us bring in the holidays and really fill our hearts and our minds with perspective and just that whole blessing of really having the ability to give and to be of service to others. So please, everybody, help me in welcoming a friend and an incredible human being, Jason Motte. All right, Jason, thank you so much for coming on with us. Adam is here too.
Hey, Jason, nice of you to come on, man.
Yeah, hey, no, I appreciate y'all having me on. Thank y'all very much.
Absolutely. All right, so tell us about Brant. How did he impact the direction of the Jason Motte Foundation?
Brant was an awesome little boy. I got to meet him spring training 2013. He was on his Make-A-Wish trip down in Disney. And, it was one of those things where he was coming down there. I'd actually sent a little thing. There was something on Twitter that they had reached out to me the off season, of 2012 going into season 2013. Like, hey, our, little boy's battling cancer. Could you send a little, Team Brant sign thing? I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. So I, sent a thing holding up like, hey, I am Team Brant. Kind of started following him then. Met up with him on his Make-A-Wish trip, and just came down, said hi. Met him at the hotel down at Disney World, and just kind of really hit it off with him. Like I said, he was shy for about 5 minutes, and then he was like all over the place. Like there's this picture on my Twitter, on my Instagram, where he was kind of taking hats off, doing this, just being silly. He took my wife's phone at one point and probably took about 60 selfies on it. Like it was pretty funny. But like I said, he was a 8-year-old little boy that had gotten some news. So he was just one of those things. I met him, got to know him. He actually came with me on opening day in Busch Day, and we ran around the stadium in trucks during intros. He rode with me then, and then a little bit later on that year, I ended up having Tommy John. So I got to spend a lot more time with him, going to the hospitals, playing Connect Four with him, doing stuff like that. And it just really I had already had stuff in perspective with our foundation, with what we've done and trying to, help others. I was there, and I had obviously more time to do things than I ever had during the baseball season, because I was out there on the field trying to get people out, so I had more time. So I was like, what can I do with this time? What can I do to make the most of this time that I have? And I feel like with my injury, it was kind of a blessing. A lot of people get hurt, and it's like, oh man, why me? But for me, it was a blessing, because it kind of put a lot more things in perspective. But it was like, hey, I'm having Tommy John, but you know what? It's not just Brant. There's a little girl named Princess Ari. There's all these people, and not just him. There's hundreds of thousands of people battling this disease, and many others around the world. Absolutely. And in St. Louis, right up the street. That I've got an elbow injury, and I'm going to be out for a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in the big scheme of things, like I'm going to sit down and put my head between my legs, and oh man, poor me. Right. So it was one of those things, and so that's kind of when we came out with our Strikeout Cancer shirts. We had our event in Memphis the prior off season, and it was we just called it Strikeout Cancer Jason Motte, and we went to the company 108 Stitches, because they had a T-shirt that just had a K on it, and we were like, well, hey, reached out to them, could you guys put the word cancer underneath it, because that's what we called our event, was Strikeout Cancer. So we're like, we'll get some, we'll buy some, we'll sell them at our events. And so, like I said, with that extra time I had, like I said, sitting with Brant, kind of figuring out what we could do, that's kind of what we came up with. And we bought about 300 of them to start off with, and I'd wear them around the field. A bunch of the guys in the clubhouse saw them. People were wearing them out. This and that, we'd wear them to, interviews, this and that. A couple other teams saw them. Craig Kimbrell, David Carpenter, who we played with, who was with the Braves at the time. He was pitching by this time. He wasn't catching. He kind of reached out. So we sent the Braves some, and Craig Kimbrell actually does stuff with a charity called Curing Kids with Cancer. So like I said, kind of got to know that a little bit more, and a little bit more stuff what he does with that, and what the Braves did, helping out with those kids down there, and the Atlanta Children's Hospital down there. But kind of guys started seeing it, and the people started seeing it on Twitter, and we're like, how can I get these shirts? And I'm like, well, they're in my garage. I'm not gonna have you come over. That'd be a little weird. So we kind of reached back out to 108 Stitches and was like, hey, I'm getting a lot of requests on Twitter, Instagram, how people can get these shirts. Is there a way to sell them online and give some of the proceeds back to cancer research? And that's kind of how the shirt started, and kind of all started with my time with my injury and meeting Brand, kind of like me and my wife sitting down, like, okay, what can we do to help give back more? Brant was a special little boy. I keep in contact with his mom and dad regularly. His mom always sends a Throwback Thursday picture. So I always look forward to Thursdays to seeing some pictures of Brant. Like I said, we got really close to him. He passed away July 23rd, 2013.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Still gets me. But you know, I mean, he was a special little boy. His birthday was a couple days after mine, so we ended up doing like a joint birthday party out at Dave and Buster's up in St. Louis for both of us. And you know, he came out. We played a bunch of games and just hung out and just had a great time, family, friends, and stuff like that. But like I said, he's someone that like I said, I always wear different bands on my wrist, and he's one that I've had on from the day I met him and haven't taken it off. You know, he's just someone that you know meant a lot to me, to our family, to our foundation, and you know, it's someone that you know I always you know keep in mind, you know, keep on my mind and on my heart, and you know, it definitely helps put things into perspective, whether it was that year or years after that when I was playing. You know, hey, you have a bad day at the field. Hey, you give up 5 runs and don't get an out. That stinks. Mm-hmm. It does. Absolutely. But guess what? There are bigger things in life than, you know, I went out there, I tried my best, I worked, you know, hard. I think that's one thing people can always say when I did play. I went out there, I left it all out there. It may not have been good sometimes, but you know, I did everything I could. So, you know, it kind of put a lot of stuff in perspective, and he's one of the many that are kind of on my wrist daily. So, you know, on my mind, on my heart every day. So he's definitely a special little boy, and someone that always have a special place in our heart.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Remarkable, yeah. I mean,
you have Austria over here tearing up over here.
Hold on. So hold on 1 second. All right, collect myself. Hold on. Okay.
That may have been about the first time I've made it through talking about Brent without kind of whatever. I felt a little bit there, but he was, you know, it's, you know, just through this whole thing, you know, you kind of, you get close to people. Like I said, there's so many more people that we've worked with, and like I said, we got close with, and, you know, it's people that just really mean a lot, and they're good people, you know, really good people from good places. You know, it could be a small town in Illinois, a football coach up in Illinois, just north of St. Louis, Coach Tim Nelson, stuff like that, Princess Ari, there in St. Louis. I mean, Mike Kelly, you know, his family's up in the St. Louis area. Like I said, there's so many people that, you know, I've gotten to know over the years that, are just great people. You know, and it has really put what we do in perspective, and why we do it. So, and that's why we continue to do it, because of people like that who are fighting, and we just want to let them know that they're not doing this alone, and that people care. Whether it's, you know, you guys have me on here, whether it's baseball players, whether it's someone going online and buying one of the shirts to support their neighbor up the street, coming out to our events, you know, just raising money, raising awareness for those in the fight, and letting them know that you're not doing this alone, and that people really do care. So of
course. And it's absolutely remarkable, especially, I mean, cancer hits home for us too. I actually lost my mother figure to cancer 3 years ago now.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, thank you. She was 54, and she was diagnosed, and then 3 weeks later, she was just gone. You know, we never would have known. I mean, Adam knows that it was right before he left, and I mean, she was completely normal. I mean, everything was nothing. There was no signs. So she was young and fit, and, you know, young. So 54, diagnosed 3 weeks later, she was gone. So I always say that cancer, and like you said, it puts everything into perspective. So it's been the biggest teacher for me. It's why we started our company. It's why we do our charities. It's been so much of so much. It really revealed my foundation, Adam's foundation. You know, we used to worry about the silliest things that really, when you are watching someone's life just slip away that way, you just awaken, you know? So recently we also had another guest on whose wife actually got breast cancer. She was in her 30s, very young woman, and she got breast cancer. And he said that she jokes around about, it might sound a little morbid, but she says, you know, I wish everybody would get cancer, battle it, and defeat it, just because it changed her so much. You know, she says, I live in a place of gratitude every day because of it. So Motte, for you and Caitlin, your wife, how has being involved in this cause, I mean, you kind of answered this earlier, but has it really changed your personal lives and your perspective, even with your little ones?
You know, for me, I was you know, it was one of those things. Baseball was, and I love baseball. Obviously, I'm done now. I played. I loved the game, but I always kind of felt that baseball was kind of what I did, not who I was. And then, you know, when my wife's grandfather got diagnosed, and, you know, we honestly, I know you touched on it earlier with some of the stuff, but they, you know, they had a question of, hey, like, we need blankets. So me and my wife had a simple question of how can we help? How can we help people that are helping us? You know, like, how can we help others who are going through this same thing? And even if it's something as little as a blanket, because, you know what, sitting there, you're getting chemo, you went through radiation, your immune system's down, you're this, you're that, you lost your hair. You know what, hey, you know what, we can help get them blankets, so at least they're warm here while they're doing this. You know, get them hats, get them this, get them that, because, you know, it was for us about helping others. You know, the way that others helped us. And, you know, it's crazy. Like, I've had a lot of people say, well, you know, like, oh, you know, you play baseball, you can do this, do that. And, like, you don't have to play baseball. You don't have to do this. You don't have to whatever. You know, a lot of stuff is just your time. You know, yes, money helps fund research, but, you know, your time sometime is all you need, because, you know what, you can't go out and buy more time.
No.
You can't go out and do this, but like I said, if you're giving your time to help others, that means more, you know, sometimes than anything. And I know, like with us, with the West Cancer Center here in Memphis, where my wife's grandfather went and had his treatment and everything, the people that were there, yes, the doctors were there. Dr. Summer was amazing. A lot of the doctors and nurses and everything. But, you know, for us, the Wings Foundation, I was there. There were volunteers that came in to just, you know, want to help, to be someone to talk to be someone to maybe cry to be someone to be like, well, hey, you know, this is what's going on. We do this, you know, kind of give a background on the facility, or this, you know, just someone there. Like I said, these were volunteers that volunteered their time to help people going through this fight. And a lot of the people, men, women alike, are people who have, you know, had cancer, had breast cancer, beat it, had ovarian cancer, beat it, had a mother that had it and lost the fight, or, you know, passed away and stuff like that. So it's, you know, it's one of those things that they just wanted to help give back. You know, so for us, that's what it's all about. You know, it's about giving back, you know, helping others, very similar to the way that others helped us. And, you know, that's why we have the shirts. That's why we do our events, in Memphis and St. Louis. We've done them at different minor league ballparks. You know, high schools have had kid cancer days and tournaments. We've had stuff at colleges. Like I said, once again, I know I said it earlier, but just to let people know that they're not in this fight, and, you know, or that they're not in this fight alone, and that people care, and just to help out the way that others helped us.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, my gosh. No, it's incredible. It really is. It's incredible what you guys are doing. On the big scale here, you know, Adam and I, we do this whole thing with homes, but I like to say that with designing, you know, it's with the design and interior design world, it's such a shallow world because it's based off material things. Oh, you put this sofa here, you do this here, but what we're really trying to do is change the way that people design their lives. We say home is the root of the soul because it's what we bring to our homes, not just the material things that make a home, right? So it's how we share with family, how we share with others. So Nate Hughes, he's a pastor from the Grove out in Arizona. That's a dear friend of ours. You know, he talks about how greed, it lures us into believing that material things, success, status, fame, you know, all of these things that are basically being exploded on social media and now really just being fed into our lives, that if you get that, you'll be happy, right? But when you're facing cancer, none of that matters, right? So and especially when a family member and you're watching it from the outside, none of it matters. Everything just that you ever thought mattered goes right out the door. And then you just become human for once, right? So Motte, what are your thoughts on this whole thing of just material things and how we get so caught up on living this type of life and you, like you just said, servicing others and really living our purpose, which is really to be here and fulfill that. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I think you said it very well. You know what I mean? It's all over social media. It's all over Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, this now, like, oh, I got this. Oh, I didn't get this. You know, and if people think that, oh, well, you know, if I like this job, but down over there is going to pay me more, so I want to go there because chasing the dollar, chasing this, chasing that, and you know what, like, money's great, yes, you need it to survive, you need it to probably get some food, get some water, maybe some shelter, and stuff like that, but at some point, and we touched on it a little bit earlier before we were on about, I gotta, and people say, like, hey, I gotta keep up with the Joneses, I gotta do this. Oh, well, that guy's got that. Well, I'm gonna go to that. Or I'm gonna throw that hard, or I'm gonna go buy that car because he's got this model below, and I want that house on that street, and that's what's gonna make me happy. And then it just never, it never stops. And with cancer, it doesn't care. It doesn't discriminate at all. Yeah. It doesn't care how much money you've made, what sport you played, what sport you didn't play, what doctor you got, what neighborhood you're from. Yeah. It could care less. Yeah. So it's one of those things that we've made it a point to, like I say, go out and like I said, do stuff with our events to give back and stuff like that, because it is important. And like I said, that kind of society that you see this, I want that, I need that, and this, that, and like I said, yes, you're probably gonna get a car to drive from A to B. You're gonna do this and that, and like, hey, you maybe can get another one, but hey, it's not because I'm getting that because that guy has the other one, or hey, this, she has this, so I want that instead of this. It's it's very hard because that's kind of how it's driven. But even that being said, there's kind of a, I guess, catch-22 of that. It's, I still feel like, for me, I feel like I was blessed with the ability, from God to go out there and just and throw a baseball. Sure. I like this was, I've talked to some doctors and lawyers like, oh man, and I, well, yeah, but you play baseball. I was like, that just happened to be my skill set. Right. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, you're over here operating on tumors to get them out of people's brains to help them beat this disease. I threw a baseball.
But that's your purpose, and that's why I always say it's the intention that we attach to it. So here's the thing. I feel like everybody is born with a purpose. Your purpose, theirs was to perform surgeries. Yours is throw baseballs, but here's the thing is what intention is behind that. So you could do baseball and be a baseball player, but you're using your platform to raise awareness of something that matters. You're using it as a tool, as a platform and a microphone, basically, something that not everybody has. And that's what I'm talking about. No one, how people say, oh, he plays baseball, he's got this. Adam would get all the time, and it's like, but it's not about pointing the finger what you do for a living. And that's where the whole thing comes from. I mean, that's where it really stems. People are so obsessed with this whole title, but it's what are you doing with it to be of service to this world? It's what I'm saying? I mean, you can be a bum on the street, and if you're not doing anything that is, of service, or if you're not living a purposeful life, loving people, sharing, I mean, you could have, I've seen, and Adam and I have walked the streets of Riverside out here, and we've met people that have the biggest heart ever, and they are out there because no one knows their story, but they're out there because their families have shunned them. They have an addiction, but it's come from whatever reason. And you know what I'm saying? But there are different intentions behind it. And I've met people with money, and their intentions are not the same. So it's all about the intention. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and there's a quote on the back of our shirt, every one of our Cake Answer shirts, that says, it's a Roberto Clemente quote. It says, every time you have an opportunity to make a difference in this world and you don't, then you waste your time on this earth. Yeah. Sure. So, for us, we purposely put that on the back of every one of our shirts. Like I said, some people that have bought the shirts may have looked at it and seen it. You may have looked at it in passing, like, oh, that's cool, read it once. I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome. But we put that on there for an intention and for a purpose of, like, our purpose, yes, what I did was baseball, and like I said, that's what I always said. I played baseball. It wasn't who I was. It was kind of what I did. You know what I mean? But for us to go out and be able to help others, like I said, you guys, doing this, getting the word out about us and this and other people, helping and that's what it's about. I mean, and Adam knows. I mean, and anyone listening, you guys know. I mean, I'm sure there are some people in your office, some people, teaching with you that, that person is not a very nice person. Right. Like that's that's not a good person at all. Like,
Right.
sorry to say it, like, but you know what? Sometimes you're like, that's just a selfish.
Yeah.
That person's very selfish. Just that person is just,
Yeah.
and it's not just baseball players. It's not just
That's what I'm
professional
saying.
athletes or doctors or lawyers. There are really good people who are baseball players and athletes and doctors and lawyers and teachers and this and that. But there's, in anything you do, there's probably a couple people you're like, man, I'm not, I'm probably not going to be hanging out with this guy or this lady or their family. And like I said, for me, and our family, I try to surround myself with good people who are good to my family, who are good with my wife, with my kids, with my wife and my kids. Like I said, I try to surround myself with good people. Like I said, I don't care about your background. I don't care where you came from, what you did, what you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't care. If you're a good person, you're a good person, and it's, it doesn't matter what you do, what you don't do.
Well, here's the thing, Jason, we say this too, is that when you are, for example, I say social media and money, okay? The more money you have, the more you're on social media. I feel like it just amplifies what you already are, right? So if you are a mean person broke, you're going to be a meaner person with money, right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, a mean person when you're, not famous, and you're famous, you're going to be meaner. Everybody's going to know about it. Same thing with social media. So it's about that. And a lot of people say, oh, well, he plays baseball, or, she does that. It's like, oh, that happens for those people. We can't shame on people for where they've gotten in life. They are deserving of it, right? Yeah.
Right.
But it's what they do with it.
And they probably worked hard to get there.
Absolutely.
Oh, man, dude.
Absolutely.
That's one of the biggest things that I always bothered me with ball was, it was like you said, oh, he plays baseball, or that guy got that big of a contract or whatever. I'm like, he worked really, really, really hard to get there.
It's like saying someone at the gym, oh my gosh, he's so buff. That just happens for that guy. I'm like, no, he probably worked out really hard and eats really clean to get to that
a really long time.
Yeah. So it's
and I mean, like I said, you probably know, like, oh, that guy's a doctor. He's a doctor, but he went to school for 10 years.
Sure, yeah.
He went to school for 10 years to operate on brains so he could help people with cancer. Like, that's
honorable.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He didn't just wake up one day and go, well, there's an opening up at the neurosurgeon.
Saw it on Craigslist.
I'm gonna saw it on Craigslist. I'm gonna go try it out. Like,
and I think
same thing. Baseball, this, and you know what I mean? Like, baseball, football, anything that you do. Like I said it before. Like, I had a certain skill set. That's why I hit a buck 80 as a catcher, and they're like, well, hey, you can kind of throw, so let's go try the pitching thing. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the way my path took me. But like I said, I worked really hard at hitting, and I stunk at it. Like, hitting a buck 80 is terrible. Sure. Like, but and even with the pitching thing, people are like, oh, we got a good arm, so it just came naturally. Like, not really. Like, no. I still worked my face off every single day. I was in there trying to learn something new. I was trying to get better every single day. And all people see is the end product. Like, well, you did this, and well, you didn't see the, like, heck, I mean, I played with one of the best, Albert Pujols and Chris Carpenter. Those two guys were some of the hardest working guys. You guys like, oh, he's just naturally gifted. He can do this, that, and the other. Like, that guy works his face off. That guy's in the clubhouse in spring training at 6 a.m. before the sun comes up, working out, doing this, and he leaves at like 5 because he's in the cage hitting, working on his craft. Same thing with doctors that are doing stuff. You're studying, you're doing this, you're trying to get better, you're trying to always advance yourself to help others, to get better at what you do, and hopefully in turn, like you said, you're doing it for the greater good to hopefully be able to help others at the end of it.
Sure. Hey, Jason, how about being on the other side of when you're around a lot of children who have cancer, being on the other side of children who are battling it, in particular children, what qualities have you noticed in most of them? Like, what lessons can we all as adults who basically complain about the dumbest things? We complain about, like you said earlier, you had your elbow, Tommy John, and you said, how can I complain about this compared to these children who are battling for their lives and their families are, sitting there just praying for them. What have you learned from them? What can we all learn from these little ones? Because I feel like these little guys are closest to God. I mean, they came from there and they have it together more than we do. They have the answers. What can we learn from them?
I think what I learned all, the people that we have worked with, people that we do work with, the little kids and stuff like that, whether it's Brant, Princess Ari is just strength and just resiliency. I mean, you sit there and it's kind of crazy. You'll go in there and their definition of a bad day or a good day, given whatever, it'd be like, how was your day yesterday? Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. What'd you do? Well, I got a popsicle. I got a purple popsicle. Yeah. You're like, oh, amazing. Oh, well then that's good. And then you find out later on, it's mom and dad like, well, he was throwing up all day long, and he had to have this, that, and the other. But you know what? They said if he got through this and that, he'd get his popsicle, and he got it, and he was good. So you're like, holy crap, that was your definition of a good day. Like you're 5 years old. That was it. I guess, I don't know if it's natural or whatever for us to, complain about stuff and, oh man, what about this? And, I think we all fall victim to it. You complain about little things. Then when you kind of get done complaining, you're like, really? That's what I was annoyed about, that they put a pickle on my sandwich instead of not, because what?
Chick-fil-A.
Right. And isn't it so simple though? Isn't it so simple? Because when you really think about it, I mean, these little ones, it's so simple for them, right? I mean, in the sense that what they're doing is so simple. We, as we get older, begin to complicate everything.
It's like what you always say, it's our conditioning.
Well, what it is that I feel like as little ones, because you remember our little guy, Arian, he would tell me when he was little, he said, I'm talking about like 2 years old, like little, and he would be like, Mama, my wings are going away. And I'd say, what do you mean your wings are going away? And he's like, well, as I'm here, my wings are starting to, they're starting to go away. And I was like, well, no, like, let's get them back. We talked about this last Goodbye Sunday. So I feel, and he still says all of these things that we're just like, gosh, where does this come from? But
yeah.
I feel like as we've gotten older, we start to, people think that they need to start adding more things, like material things or whatever it is, or just knowledge and success and topic, status and stuff. But I think we need to start removing and just going back to that child, simplifying.
Well, it's so funny that you said it's so funny you said the popsicle thing. And I was talking to, I don't know what a coach, Jamie, what do you call him? A social coach? Kind of a mental coach kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he would tell me, and I was going through my tough times in baseball, and he would just go at the end of the day, he goes, write about what happened good today. And I could have walked 4 guys. Gave up 5 runs, no hits, and he goes, did you throw a strike? I'm like, I threw a strike. And he goes, write that, You know what I mean? And he goes, write that. And he goes, you threw a strike. And he goes, it's not the end of the world. And he was like, do you feel healthy? And I'm like, I feel fine. And he goes, okay, write that. And I'm like, and I started going down the end of it. I'm like, man.
But that's what it is. Yeah. That's why I asked the question. It's like, that's why I asked Ma. I said, what qualities does he observe in these little ones that we can all learn from? Because the moment that we say, okay, he said resilience, or okay, so we're going through a tough time, let's say. Well, if we start to focus on resilience, we start to acquire that quality. We start to say, okay, well, let's just be resilient, right? Let's be strong, right? Yeah. Then all of a sudden, everything starts to shift into that. You start to put all of your energy behind that, and then therefore everything starts to change around you. It's all about perspective. It's
and that's exactly what I was going to say. Like perspective. Yeah. It puts stuff in a perspective. It can, it makes you smile about the little things. I mean, we have 2 little ones. I got a 5.5-year-old, almost 6-year-old girl, and a 2-year-old son. And you know what? Like you sit there some days, and all the parents out there listening, like, some days, man, they drive you nuts.
Yes.
But then then they'll sit there, and man, if they don't come up and just give you a hug for no reason, or do this, now you're like, that's it. You're like, well, I'm going to go and cry in the bathroom and come back so they don't see me doing it, because this is amazing. You know what I mean? But like I said, and it's, like I said, I just think it's a perspective, and it's the kids that we work with. It's our 2 little ones that are downstairs. It's for us, it's about that. It's funny. Like I said, one of the little girls, Princess Ari. I got to know her while I was in St. Louis, and just awesome little girl. And like one of the first events I ever went to, it was a little wiffle ball game for like kids battling and stuff like that. And she had a tiara, so I was like, hey, can I wear your tiara? Just being whatever. And she's like, these are for girls. I was like, okay, hey, no worries, this, that, kind of like joking around. And But I kid you not, I saw her for years after that. I mean, and she was diagnosed, I want to say she was about 2 or 3 when she was diagnosed. So that's kind of all she ever knew. She passed away about a year ago. But every other event I ever saw her at, it could have been a Make-A-Wish Cardinals wife event. It could have been another wiffle ball game. It could have been her coming to Busch Stadium to drop me off some cookies that she had made the night before, and something like that. But she always had a tiara for me to wear. Wow. So I'd be sitting there, bearded man sitting out there, whatever, like at this charity event in a nice suit with a tiara on. People would be like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, really." And I kind of, and the people who knew her, they didn't even have to ask. They're like, "Ari?" I was like, "Yep." They're like, "Okay." And it was just kind of funny because, like I said, like I had a red one. I had that she got me a blue one. I took one of hers one of the other times. It was super sparkly. But it's just one of those things. Like I said, it and even with a little girl like Princess Aria, like that was like she didn't know anything any different. Like she had been battling this literally her whole life, and she had some bouts of remission, and it would come back harder, worse, go away, and come back and stuff like that. But it was almost like, she had a smile on her face all the time. Yeah. Like even, every time I saw her, I'm not sure if there was ever a time that there wasn't a smile on her face. And same thing with Brant and a lot of the other, people that we see. Like you sit there, you just be talking to somebody, and like I said, there's always a smile on their face. There's always that strength, that something that you're like, man, you know what? Like I want to be more like that, like on a daily basis. But like I said, just like that smile, that resiliency, that the way of putting things in a perspective of whatever it was. And like I said, but there's so many special people that, like I said, I've gotten to meet and get to meet along this journey. And it's, like I said, we're happy that we do what we do to be able to help others. So
of course, man, that's good stuff, man.
Yeah, we're thankful for people like you and for others that are doing the same. How important has the support of, speaking of others, of the guys who you've played with who have actually helped and supported the cause, and how important have they been to really growing awareness?
It's been huge. I spoke earlier about Craig Kimbrell, David Carpenter, two guys that have been with us, with our foundation, helped out for the longest time has been Anthony Rizzo and John Lester, both who are non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer survivors, and guys that are playing in the big leagues, obviously at a very high level. A guy, Daniel Norris, is from Johnson City, Tennessee, which is where my family's from, and went to Science Hill High School, and he had a battle with cancer. He's good now. Chad Bettis and Jameson Talion with the Pirates now. Chad Bettis with the Rockies. Both had testicular cancer and have fought it, beat it, and these guys are pitching in the big leagues. So it is one of those things that, yes, you hear those words, but you also, it's not always, well, this is it. There are, there's obviously people who fight it and win, and who beat it and go on. Like I said, be not just Major League Baseball players, there's people that we have helping out with our foundation that are going on to be doctors in oncology because of same thing, the way people helped them when they were growing up. But, the people that we have, the guys that we have around the league on each team, as a K cancer rep, just being able to raise money, raise awareness for those in the fight, and each team has a representative. We've had it for the past 5-6 years, and what they do is they have a T-shirt, they have a K cancer shirt, their team color, and the proceeds go back to a cancer charity that they support. When we first started doing this, back in was 13, 14-ish.
Yeah.
We were talking to Jason Grilly, and he's like, well, hey, we'll do it. Hey, all the money can go back to you guys because you're doing it. I was like, that's not the point. I'm like, the point isn't to give it to us, to our foundation. The point is, in what we do, is to help others, to help what's important to you, help something, help a cancer-related, cause that's important to you. And, it's one of those things that we kind of started. And like I said, cancer hits home so many people.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy. Like I said, we first started, we were like reaching out to guys on different teams, like, hey, would you like to be involved? You know, hey, we give, you know, shirts are online, this and that. You know, we end up sending the guys shirts, and we've had a K Cancer Day now since 2013, actually. So 34 to 15, 16, 17, 18. So this is our 6th year doing it in September. And the guys just wear the shirts to the field, wear it around the clubhouse. Some guys have worn it on the field during BP and stuff like that, just as a way to show, you know, those in the fight that they're not in it alone. So even just simple gestures like that, like I said, even if
Absolutely.
it's, you know, someone putting on a shirt and taking a picture, or hey, you know, like Elvis Andrews does stuff down in Texas, John Lester, Anthony Rizzo, Craig Kimbrell, which, you know, he's a free agent, so don't tell him where he's going to be, but you know, there's Kike Hernandez is out in LA. His proceeds go back to a cancer charity, cancer hospital in Puerto Rico that works with kids fighting cancer. So, you know, I mean, and it's all different types of things. You know, I mean, it could be a big foundation, a little foundation, but for us, it's all about, you know, people wanting to give back, people wanting to help, people wanting to help others. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I mean, for us to be able to, you know, for these guys to want to come on board and do this is really humbling, because like I said, they could do anything else with their time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes it's as simple as, hey, you know, whoever, hey, I got one of your K Cancer shirts, thanks for what you're doing, hitting a retweet, and hey, thanks for the support.
Right.
And then you send that out, 10 more people see it, maybe 2 of those people buy a shirt, and now you're helping more people just by, you know, maybe a simple tweet, maybe some on Instagram, maybe whatever it is. Like I said, for us, it's all about, you know, helping others. And even when we started this with the shirts, it was it kind of snowballed. It was kind of weird. Like I said, we got 300 shirts. We were going to sell them. And it kind of went from like, hey, we'll sell them at our event, raise more money, raise a little bit more money. Mm-hmm. That'd be cool. Yeah. To, like I said, now for the past, you know, 5-6 years, we've had a rep on every single team. Like I said, I think we're closing in on, you know, 1.5-2 million total on, you know, funds for our foundation and stuff like that. And a lot of it has been help from the t-shirts, from people going out there, and, you know, some people are like, oh, I can't do this, can't do that. I'm like, you know, every little bit helps. You know what I mean? And with the t-shirts, $12 comes back to charity. So $12 at a time. I know the first year we did, I think we raised close to $50,000-$60,000 in the first year, and that was like $12 at a time. You know, and you're like, holy cow, like that much money. You're like, yes, like hey, he gets it, he sees it, they get it, they do this. But to be able to live here in Memphis, Tennessee, where St. Jude's Children's Hospital is, and you know, it's a place that has single-handedly taken the childhood cancer survival rate from like I want to say like a 30-something to a 40 back in the day, to close to like a 90, 95. You know, and you know, it's one of those things that, you know, it's a place that costs about $2 million a day to run. Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. And their average donation is, I want to say they said like $30. So like you're sitting there and you're like, holy cow, like your average donation is $30.
Yeah.
And it takes you $2 million a day to run. How are you, what is going, but it's like, it's about people giving back. It's about people helping. It's about people wanting to make a difference. And, you know, and that's what it's about. And like they do that so that those families who hear that news don't have to worry about, oh man, can we get the treatment my son needs, my daughter needs, this, that, and the other. Like, yes, you can. It is taken care of, and it's crazy. And like I said, it doesn't matter the money, and it's not like money can't buy some things, because insurance may not cover it. Right. Insurance sees a lot of these things as experimental and may not cover it. So, I mean, heck, I don't care what business you're the whatever of, or how long you did this and that. It's a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like it's a place here. Like I said, St. Jude isn't the only one that does this and helps others. But, you know, like I said, I'm looking down now. We ran the St. Jude half marathon a couple weeks ago. But, you know, it's just one of those things that, you know, it's just an awesome place. But like I said, to be able to do it and help others the way they do. Like I said, I'm glad that, you know, we're able to be in a city and it's right in our backyard and be able to help out with them as well.
Sure. And you know what, you just made something kind of pop into my mind, that when we first started this whole thing, we were dead broke, right? Like, I'm not joking. I've talked about this many times. We have no shame in talking about it, because we were. But so my mother figure, who passed away, she always, I mean, since I was a little one, would donate to St. Jude's. And it's funny because I have like a packet of just like the, you know how they send the stickers and not for the labels for your, you know, for your cards and stuff like that. Yeah. So I saved all of those. But the reason, so here's the funny thing, is that she didn't make very much money at all. We weren't, you know, growing up, but she always told me, she said, you don't need a lot of money to donate, even if it is just a little. And it's so ironic because when we started, Adam and I, when we started this, we had family and friends tell us, you know, you guys can barely feed yourselves. What are you doing? Because we started donating. And we said, well, here's the funny thing is that people think that you have to have all kinds of money or status. And I think that's why they point the finger and say, oh, well, you're in baseball. You can do that. No. Everybody can do a little bit. It's
like don't buy that 6-pack of beer, and don't buy that T-shirt.
Maybe that Starbucks that you bought today, maybe just swap that out, you know, for a month. Maybe just say for this 1 month, you know, I'm just going to put a jar and just say, you know, and go donate that, even if it is a little bit, because I feel like as a whole, if we all don't, because think about it. You said St. Jude's, $30. That is, I mean, if we all donated that together as a whole, that could make such a difference in this world. And I think that's why it's so important to talk about.
It's awareness.
It's awareness. I've talked about it even on my social media, and I've had people say, I'm not joking when I say this. They say, oh, what happened to your, you know, design stuff? I think you guys were doing design. We're like, gosh, you guys don't get it, do you? It's not about that. It's about using that in a sense that we could turn this all around for also to do something good. And I love that you brought that up, Jason, because it really does, like, just, it gets me going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even with some of that too, like I touched on earlier, like you said too, like, oh, well, you play baseball, so you can give this and this to this, or hey, well, you can give that to that, you can give this and that, and yes, you know, maybe, and like I said, just because people play baseball doesn't mean that they are a doctor or they have money or whatever. It doesn't mean that they do that. And like I said, it could be the guy that, hey, you know what, so-and-so is able to give $100,000 to that charity. That's awesome. Right. But you know what? It is, you know, it's 100,000 of those people over there that are able to give $30.
Right.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's a little bit at a time. And like I said, I touched on earlier as well. But it's, you know, sometimes, yes, money funds the research and stuff like that. But sometimes it's your time.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you taking the time. And like I said, it's what you do with your time, how you spend your time, and for all of us, we make time for what we want to make time for. If this is something that's important to you, whether it's you know, raising money and awareness for cancer research, whether it's, you know, autism, diabetes, this, you know, whatever your cause is, you know, if there's something that means something to you, just make time for it. And like I said, you will make time for what you want to make time for. If you want to make time for, you want to go in the store, getting a 6-pack, you'll make time for that. If you want to make time for going and, you know, doing this, doing that, if you want to make time for that workout, you're going to make time for it. But like I said, if there's other things like, I don't know if I have time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
You don't know if you have time, or you just don't. It's not up on that priority list that you go out and you make time for it.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's one of the things that, you know, for us has been, you know, another big thing. Like, this is something that's important to us, something that is very meaningful to me, my wife, her family, and many other families that we know, and people that we try to surround ourselves around are people that want to get out and want to help others. And it maybe for the homeless, it may be for underprivileged kids, it may be for, you know, autism, it may be this, maybe that, you know, whatever it is. But it's like, you know what, I'm gonna make time for this, because you know what, this is important to me. This is what I want to make time for. So, you know, like I said, money does the stuff, but you know, the time, I said earlier, the volunteers that were coming up there, that were at the door to greet us at the West Cancer Center to talk to us, were people giving their time.
Right.
You know, like St. Jude has a bunch of, you know, they have doctors and this, that, but a lot of people that we meet with and talk with, they're volunteers. They volunteer their time.
Yeah.
Why? Because it is because of what St. Jude does, because of what other hospitals do, because, you know, like, they volunteer their time because that's what's important to them. Right. You know, so they want to go do it, and they make time for it.
You guys are doing something that when, we're all going to go one day, that when you look back and we all do go, you want to be proud of what you've done. And I think you guys have. And I think your little ones, when they're older enough, to understand what you guys have done and what you guys are giving to the world, they'd be so proud. So leading into that, if this is going to be just one of my last questions here for you, Jason, if your little ones were to listen back to this one day, I mean, who knows if they will, but if they ever were to, it's the internet, it'll stay there forever. When you're no longer around, what would you want them to carry around with them forever? What would you want them to know?
I would just, that we loved them, and that, it's about helping other people. It's about making this world, probably better today than it was yesterday, going out there and making a difference. And like I said, with the Roberto Clemente quote, if you have an opportunity to make it better and you don't, then you're wasting your time on earth. So, just get out and help others and complete proud parent moment. So I'm gonna. So my daughter, 5.5, 6 years old. She'll be 6 in January. The past 2 years, she's had this thing. It's called Donuts with Santa.
My gosh.
so 3 years ago on Christmas Day, she kept getting these crazy headaches in her head. My kid was like, "What's going on?" Anyway, took her to another amazing place here in Memphis, Tennessee, another hospital, Le Bonheur Children's Hospital, and couldn't find out she was getting these like sharp headaches. They'd come and go, it'd be like she'd be on the ground screaming, then she'd be fine. We're like, what in the world's going on? It happened like 6 times in an hour. We're like, we're going. We're talking Christmas Day. We're like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Go to the hospital. Hey, they're looking at her. She's in there. She's had to get a little blood, CT scan, like, she's, 3.5, just scared out of her mind. But one of the nurses came in and they were like, well, hey, do you like Barbies? And she's like, yes, ma'am. So they brought her a Barbie because they do like a toy drive. And so when the kids come in, if they can have a toy, kind of settle them down, kind of just take their mind off of what it is that's going on, like for the moment. So, last year, that was 3 Christmases ago. So that next, like September, October, my daughter kind of brought something up. She's like, well, hey, remember when I went to Chicago, the heart hospital, because it's got a big heart on the thing. Oh. She's like, do you remember when I went there and they gave me a toy? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, where do they get those toys? And she's like, well, I'm like, people have, people bring them in, or they do toy drives and this and that. She's like, okay. She's like, well, I would like to have my friends come over and bring toys, and then I can bring them to the hospital. So I'm like, so we're like, okie dokie. So like, so we kind of took her idea of doing that, and we kind of turned in, hey, we've had the past years, we've had Donuts with Santa, and like I said, the big man showed up both years, luckily for us, and he showed up. We had donuts. All the kids in our class came. We recently just did it about a week ago, which was her second year doing it. And she asked us this summer too, same thing. She's like, hey, am I doing the tour drive Donuts with Santa thing again? We're like, yes, ma'am. Like, hey, you tell us when and whatever. So we did it last weekend. We ended up taking actually the toys up to Le Bonheur Children's Hospital the other day, and the volunteers and the people in the care thing were like, hey, thank you guys, like thanking us. I was like, oh, this wasn't us. Like, I didn't do anything. Like, yeah. Hey, we had our house and we let people come over, and, we had, 45 kids run around and, had a massive cleanup crew after, but it was, but I was like, this was all, the ideas of a at the time a 4-year-old, right, because of what you guys did for her. And she sees what we do with our foundation. She's always asking about the K cancer stuff, or people that we work with, or Princess Ari, or, her angels, Princess Ari, Princess Brand, like, hey, this and that and stuff like that. So, it's kind of one of those things that, it's pretty cool. It's going to be, we told her when we left, like, it's going to be, 45, 46, kids that didn't have a toy when they came in here. That's going to help them get their mind off what's going on, the way that someone helped you when you had to come in here and you had those headaches and stuff like that. So, and it's pretty cool. Like I said, the fact that this was all her. I think that would be, the one thing is just be a good person. Know that, we loved you and cared about you more than anything, and just, helping others is huge. Have a big heart. And I think, that would probably be the one thing, looking back, that, I hope that they kind of get from us. And
all right, Jason. Well, here's one last question. And we ask this to every single person who comes on with us. It's a question that's a very simple one, but it seems to stump people. But it turns out always to be the best answer we always receive. So Jason, what do you know for sure?
What do I know for sure?
For sure.
Yeah, I think I'm stumped. I was going to say, I don't know where this one was going. I was like, oh, man. Yeah, not much. Yeah. I think you know a lot, and then you see things or things happen, and you're like, man, that's not. I'm not sure. I'm at a loss right now. As you can tell, I'm usually not at much a loss for words. But yeah, I'm kind of at a loss right now.
Well, I'll help you. I think that you answered that. I think that you just, it's funny. I asked our last guest, Brandy Malloy, last week, or it was 2 weeks ago now. She was on Food Network. She's just a mom, a great person. And she came on and I asked her and she goes, oh my gosh. And she goes, well, what do you know for sure? And I was like, wait, no one's ever asked me that. And actually my answer was the same as yours. And I think that is that as we get older, as we become more wise, is that we realize that, when you're younger, you're in your teens, you think you know everything. But as we get older, we realize that we actually don't know anything for sure, right?
Right.
God and, whatever anybody believes in, but we believe in God and we say God is what is for sure. And I think that's the only thing that we really know, is that if you have faith that something is bigger and more powerful than you, that's really the only thing we know for sure, because everything else is out of our control, and all we can control is, what we put into everything that we do. So our intentions.
Yeah, no, and I think you're right. It's, God is in control, and I think that's the one thing, that everything always happens for a reason. It happens just like it should. And you may have questions why, or why this and that, but things happen for a reason, and whether it's this, that, and the other. Like I said, I think it's okay to ask those questions why. Mm-hmm. But then, like you said, still having the faith and knowing, like, what, this is for a greater good. This is for something bigger. So that's. Yeah.
I love that, Jason. You've been awesome. We are so, just humbled.
So grateful to know you, for you to be around you. I'm so grateful to have you on.
Absolutely. Remarkable. So thank you for coming on with us. We really do appreciate you. One last question. Where can everybody find the Jason Motte Foundation on Instagram, social media, etc.? Where can we find you?
You can find us at Jason Motte Foundation. We're on, like I said, Twitter, Instagram, all that, Facebook. Like I said, and our shirts and everything's available at jasonmottefoundation.org. You can get more information on us, what we do, why we do what we do, and stuff like that. But we're kind of, like I said, we're all over the place: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and we'll link everything for listeners listening. And if you didn't catch that, we'll go ahead and we'll link everything on our website. Okay, guys? So we'll catch you all next week. Thank you so much.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank y'all.
Hey, before you go, if you enjoyed this podcast today, we do ask that you give us a rating and a review. It really helps new listeners be exposed to Good Vibes Sunday and bring them on over. So as always, we appreciate you and thank you. Thank you for tuning in, Good Vibers, and be sure to subscribe to Good Vibes Sunday by downloading the podcast app found at the App Store. Catch you all next week. Have a happy Sunday.